All right. Super blank. Thank you for being first. There might be a prize later on, though. But this is a April Fool month, so can't stress that enough. Anything I say, it's a lie.
All right.
Okay.
Super blank.
Sorry, that was me. I have my tab on all this time. I forgot to turn it off. All right, so let's see what this is about. I have no idea what just happened today. Okay, so give me 1 second. Here we go. Now, I have quite a bit of expectation that today was going to be a lift-off day. But it's not. But to be expected, right? I mean, the announcement of tariffs already been kind of like, seeping through the psychology of the market already. So it's not like any surprise at all. He's been touting it. He's been telling you what day he's going to do it at. But for some reason, the market is still, trying to get people all riled up. So, is this the time to buy? I can't tell you. But when it comes to GME, right, I feel like $22 and aftermarket, it went down close to 5% today. It's a no-brainer to me. Okay. I don't know about you. I just feel like this is egregious. Think about it. GME just announced that they are going to buy Bitcoin with the $1.3 billion or $1.5 billion. They just completed their bond, and people are still, perhaps, again, they're just in disbelief, right? Now, what happened usually, the market takes some time to catch up to the news. And the news cycle is going to be there to scare a lot of people out, okay? When this is supposed to be the time to buy. Of course, I'm only speaking about GME here because GME is one of the biggest holding that I have. Of course, I'm going to talk my back, sure, just know that if you come here, I'm biased, okay? Don't come here for hating, Gamestop. If you want that type of content, go to Tony De Niro. Okay, it's another YouTuber who talks about AMC, how great it is, but GME is a problem, right? So that's for you to decide. If you're just here, in a short time and you don't know what's going on, just look at the balance sheet yourself. And is this a great opportunity for you to add more, or just wait? I mean, you could sit on the sideline and watch what happened, right? So that's also an option as well. You don't have to get involved. If you don't want to get involved, it's okay. There will be other opportunity. In my opinion, will there be any opportunity of a lifetime like this? Of course not. I'm sure people would love to buy MicroStrategy when it was really low, right? Before they do any, convertible notes and all that stuff, buying Bitcoin with their own cash and all that stuff, right? I'm sure people would love that. But for some reason, there's a disconnect, with people's psychology because of this fear of tariffs and all that stuff. But again, this could also be just market maker, doing their worst. And, mentally, I already was prepared for that. So again, will it come down to 18? I just saw this fractal over here. So I don't know if anyone, saw that. A very similarity, right? There's a gap down here after earnings. And it was a good earning too. Keep in mind, this is like the best earnings, for the last 7 years. There hasn't been any profitable year. This was the profitable year, but yet they were able to, smack the price down. Now, this has a missed, right? While this one was not a miss. In fact, it was the best earnings report so far that we have in terms of earnings per share. But of course, yes, they always beat us on the revenue side of things. I get that. It's a concern, but is it really a concern when the whole world is trying to shut down over here, right? Is it really a concern when everybody is cutting down, when everybody is constricting, their spending, whether it's tariffs, whether it's whatever. So understand that there's a onslaught of negative news within this couple weeks to come, but I assure you, nothing is going to stop whether GME is going to buy Bitcoin at the low. That's also another expectation that I have as well. Are they going to buy today? Who knows? Maybe they already bought it, So that's remain to be seen. And what I prefer them to do is to announce it as soon as possible, to never wait until the next earnings report. But again, it is what it is. Hey Matt, what's up? But I really feel, today it was just a scary day for people. But tomorrow, now that we know the news, now that we know how many percentage each country is gonna get, it's just a one-time deal, and then the next we just have to wait for the economy to recover. Not to say that it won't come down any further. Okay, just always prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Now, in a situation in which you need money, do not invest in this, in any investment. If you don't, have an emergency fund and all that stuff, make sure you have all the emergency fund that is needed for your day-to-day life, and then the rest, invest the rest. Don't go over leverage. If you cannot handle the stress of, a cash flow or whatever, don't do it. Some of us did it already and kind of regretting it a little bit. That's why I'm telling you not to do it, okay? It's a lot more stressful than you needed in this. Like investing in GME is already stressful day to day because of the price action, right? It's up this much and then down this much in a short period of time. For people who are in the traditional markets, right? So it's already stressful. Why would you put that stress on yourself, right? It's not needed. Your goal is to have a job, and then if you have a job, then of course, if you have a small investment portfolio, I know. You have to be risky, and of course, depends on your age too, right? If you're, a little bit older, obviously the risk tolerance is a little bit less. So companies like this would not be suitable. So, and always consult with somebody who might be an expert on it, right? I'm not one of them. I'm not. Hi Carter, what's up? Super Tony Denario. That won't go away, of course. $5 price target. I know that guy, right? Like you can't make this up. Of course, he's paid to do it. Come on, he has to. So it's his paycheck, and again, allegedly, who knows, right? I can't prove that, so don't sue me. But the point is, like, it's seemingly skewed to the other side. And of course, they always, find some, nuggets of whatever he thinks that is true to this company, and then just skewed it to the negative side only, right? And while there's no upside either to talk about, as if it's a fearful thing, as if it's like not a good thing to have a zero interest rate. Like, it's unheard of. But anyway, so I'll show you a video. We're gonna go into a couple of video today too. So just buckle up. I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. Depends, you know, how much energy I have for today. So I'm shooting for an hour. So be ready. But for now, I'm thinking, okay, so there's another thumping situation here, and I think it's Roaring Kitty. Who knows? It could be wrong, right? But let me tell you why, though. I feel like he's signaling that it's gonna be a liftoff soon, right? And it's like a countdown. Okay, again, tinfoil.
RLUS.
Okay, not that one. If you look at the thumping price action today, again, this may not mean anything, you guys, okay? May not mean anything. So today price was 231. Wait, 2321. So it's, there you go, 321. Lift off. There you go. You got it here first, okay? I'm telling you, I'm reporting this live. So, yeah, take that as a warning. Oh my goodness. You guys, I'm having fun. I know your portfolio is red right now, but I'm having fun. No, but seriously though, seriously, be responsible, okay? Don't be stupid. Don't screw this up. You have one opportunity here to invest in GME at this price, okay? People are buying like crazy. Look at them. Below 20. Oh, the calamity. Now, of course, like I have no doubt that $1.5 billion at least is going to go towards Bitcoin. What I'm expecting is the whole $6 billion. Because now with $6 billion, $6.23 billion, we actually would have $230 million left to do the operational thing, right? Of course, we won't be able to earn income from that, interest from that, but because of that massive amount of Bitcoin holding, you're going to see a lot of people that are investing in MicroStrategy perhaps is going to kind of bleed, their capital from MicroStrategy to GME because they think that it's the bare bottom. Okay, so just be in the lookout for that. And of course, again, there's a lot of haters out there too, right? So take them to an account as well, and understand what you hold, and then understand how much of an advantage that you have right now because you know something about this company that none of the other people knows. And that is the asset that they have, the ability for them to even raise more money too in a later date. Like Moran said, it's not going to stop right now. And why would we stop? If they could continue to raise money at the 0% rate, you know what would happen? I have a perspective here, but I'll share you with the video later to see what that means and to kind of flip that into a negative. Tony De Niro, come on, like you know better, but I know. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but I know. You are wrong about this. Anyway, so, there's a lot of dark pools still. I mean, what else is news? Look at that, off exchange, 5 million shares there. It's just out of nowhere. Okay, give me 1 second here. Let me check this option chain real quick. It is a very, very curious thing. I haven't even checked this, you guys. I used to check this a lot more, but I'm like, who cares? If they're allowing people to buy at a lower price, what is the inevitability that it's going to, spike the other way one day? So let's see. Hold on, you guys. So when do we see, I think exchange? No, I think, let's not pay attention to that too much. So today, because some volume coming towards the end, I guess, of the day, we came to around 66 shorted volume right there. Total was still kind of close, diminishing quite a bit there from the volume from earnings. So, but again, still elevated, right? 8 million shares being traded, that's pretty good amount. When, especially if you compare to the before earnings, right? You see 1 million, like very dry. So in a lookout for that. I'm sure they're going to try to dry the volume out as much as they can, bear. But again, like they have to do this thing where, it's going to be over 50% off short, over 50% short off exchange. Oh my goodness, my brain. And so for the last couple of days here, you could see most of the days, you could see that there are more than 50% off exchange. All these Bitcoiners are acting like they're saving us. Carter, forgive them. They don't know. They don't know anything about GME. They'll find out. In due time, they will find out and they will grow to love what GME is. So let them take their time, their sweet time. It's okay. We're all in this together. I'm telling you. I know these people very well. Okay. They're loyal. They are, they are convicted in their in their investment. Bitcoin, Bitcoin is their thing. And I'm telling you, this community is similar to GME, long-term shareholder as well. And again, when you're kind of get into something new, typically people are going to have some question. It's okay. There's some savior complex over here that we all have. It's okay. It's encouraged. And so in due time, they're gonna come to know what GameStop is all about. And also there's another angle as well where MicroStrategy is going to be the first mover advantage, and people are going to flock into MicroStrategy more so than GME. So there's might be hatred from that side as well. So be in the lookout for that as well. And the community pinning against each other, try to get us to fight each other, right? But we all know what the game is. Understand that there's some manipulation on the media side as well, and we've been here for a while, and so it's okay. It's okay. Let me see. I'm still averaging up at this point. Okay, that's good. That means you have a very low price average. Good on you. It's crazy. Crypto was going up while Trump was talking about the tariffs and then crashed towards the end. Of course. I'm sure this is liquidation. People were betting way too bullishly, right? And then what happened? Market makers saw the opportunity to be like, oh, you're bullish. Okay, boom. Drop the price, and then the rest is history, because then people are like, oh, this is again the reason why call options on Bitcoin is very risky. I mean, it's a volatile asset already, and if you bet on call options or even trading on leverage up or down, you're gonna experience this a lot. Now, as a shareholder or Bitcoin holder or whoever long-term, that's why long-term share investor or long-term investor tend to win out, because they're not bogged down by the price action, because they invest in Bitcoin for the right reason. The same way with GME too. The call option is usually the markets in which they get to see where they can push the price to. Okay, the price action is based on how many people are betting on it. Again, they get to see your hands beforehand, before they even dealt to you. So, and again, it's cheating for sure. I mean, again, it's very simple to fix this game, you guys. Like, if you want to make it fair, you have to separate, the option market maker from the market maker himself. Make them independent of each other. No one get to see whatever hand they dealt with. The internal internal ordering books of each other. They only get to see their own, and so there's no manipulation on the betting side, and whoever wins get to take the money on the betting side, call, puts, or whatever, right? But for the shares, it should be trading based on the supply and demand, right? How many people are buying it, how many utility and all that stuff, right? And so again, simple way to fix it, but right, nobody's gonna make money off of that, right? One entity can't make $10 billion a year, so why restrict the ability for these people to make money? And then on top of that, legislature or people who are elected get a cut from that too. So it's a win-win for them, right? Free market. But anyway, I hope I'm not ranting too much. Let's see, Bimor, did you hear about today? Supposed to, yes, I saw that one. I mean, that could be GameStop, but unless they make the announcement, I will not believe it. Hey, what's up? Nobody's a fool here, Ricky. There's a lot of smart people around here, so don't be saying that. Okay. Okay, anyway, what was I saying? Okay. Yeah, so the volume is kind of coming down a little bit, but I'm hoping that, we're gonna lift off soon based on what we see today. Now people have like a lot of speculation, like nah. Don't believe in any of those, okay? Just know that the ability for GME to do anything that they want with their balance sheets is supported by retail investor and also the institutional as well. Now we are one of the contender for bondholders, for institutional interest to get into, simply because we have the balance sheet to back it up, okay? If these people don't think that we have the ability to pay them back $1.5 billion in 5 years, they would not have bought that bond and agree to those terms, okay? They want shares, yes. But the smart things about the convertible bond is that there is a condition on that loan. And not on the bondholder, sorry. To be the bondholder, you have to be long-term, or the share price has to be, $29, say $30. The share price has to trade at $30 for 20 days. Okay, that's important. They can't, let's say the share price spike up to 30 real quick and then dump back down. That doesn't count. No. It has to trade above $30 for 20 days. You know how long 20 days for GME is? A long time. Huh? Look at what one day could do. Okay? You see? Okay, so let's go to that price point right there. It's a genius, you guys. Genius. Okay? So let's look at this golden. Okay, make it golden. Price right here. So in order for these people to convert, okay, to share, the share price has to be here above for 20 days, trading days, okay? Hold on. When is 20 days? Okay, 1, 2. Nah. Here we go. 20 days. Goodness, you guys, what the hell? Let's just assume 20 days. That's a long time. Okay? So let's measure from here to here. Does this count? Right there. So you have so many opportunity, for if you want to get out of this stock, right? And say that, I'm out of here. No. But these bondholder, they have a condition. The stock would have to be above. So this is not a good condition even, right? Because like this peaked up and then come back down. So it has to trade above above the price, $30 for 20 days consecutively. I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, the way that it was worded. And so essentially that creates a long-term shareholder, especially from the institutional side of things. So for example, this would be a perfect example where they could convert right here. This is the instant in which they could convert. Okay, they could convert there. And I'm sure they could convert here, right? If they chose to, assuming if it's gonna, be there, like in the future. Okay, so only then they could convert. If it's trade below here, no, they cannot convert into the shares. And they would have to wait either, for the cash, or they would have to wait after 5 years, in which case there won't be any restriction on the conversion. Okay, so now if the share price is down here, obviously the bondholders are the one who lose out, right? Because not only that they don't get a chance to convert to share, they can if they want to at a loss. Then they would get their money back. So I'm sure they would actually get their money back if the share would only trade below the agreed upon price. Very smart, very smart. I'm telling you, this is the best deal for GME, for GameStop as a company. Don't believe any other people who's like saying, well, whatever. Like again, you have to make your own decision, critically thinking about any of these situations. Listen to other people too. Like, yes, I mean, you might disagree with them, but at least you get the opinion of like, okay, why are they disagreeing with you? Okay. Thank you, Ricky, for clarification. Thank you so much. I think they convert to share and reopen another. Of course. That's coming for sure. Like even immediately. What I want him to do is to do convertible bonds every year and use that money every year to buy into Bitcoin and just stack it. There's a lot of bullish prediction. So that's why I would much rather him buy now and then just stack it later and then just rate the convertible bonds without, using it for Bitcoin even. You don't have to use it for Bitcoin, but for other general purpose of acquisition and all that stuff too. You could increase shareholders so much more that way, especially with the high growth opportunity right now in blockchain technology. You don't want to squander that opportunity within these 4 years for sure, right? Next administration, we don't know, but we know what this administration is going to do in the next, the next 3 years or the next 4 years that he's in the office. So it's pretty predictable if you are, if you kind of take politics out of it, what Trump's going to do. Because he said that he's going to do that. So very predictable. So take advantage of that. People are still in disbelief that he's not going to do Bitcoin reserve and all that stuff. But even without the Fed buying Bitcoin, a lot of states out there, they already approved to buy Bitcoin as a reserve. And now they're trying to get Bitcoin into bonds as well, just to increase, that deflationary asset where the inflationary world demands so much. See what I mean? You must have a beautiful face. Oh, wow. You might be disappointed, Bintel. So, don't imagine anything, beautiful behind this voice. I know my beautiful voice. Thank you so much. That's a compliment. Okay. Let's see. Hi, what's up, Lionel? Lionel could attest to that. Lionel, who knows what I look like. So don't say anything, Lionel. Don't say anything. Okay, so let's see. Let me calm down. Oh. All right, I will just forget about that comment, and I'm blushing right now. It's okay. Let me gather my thoughts. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so let's go and look at this. Let me see. Okay. Let's go to this video here. Now, I had never listened to this podcast before, but I guess it's in Australia. But this gentleman here, never heard anything from him, so I don't know. Some sort of an investment strategist person who very, very enthusiastic about Bitcoin in general as a financializing, whatever. And then I was thinking, okay, so are they going to talk about GameStop? And there you go. So mid, I didn't listen to the whole thing, so I'm going to react. And it seems like it's like 10 minutes or something here. So, let me see. Let's listen in. I have a few comments, so I might just play the whole thing and then I come back, okay?
But one of the really cool things that's come out kind of really overnight for us was GameStop. I want to talk about GameStop.
Oh, that's fun.
This feels like, obviously we've had other people try and copy the MicroStrategy playbook to some degree, like Metaplanet being the most obvious example, but they were a tiny company. They're in Japan, so it always feels a little bit removed. But GameStop might actually be the next kind of Michael Saylor play that really works. They've come out and said they're going to issue, is it $1.3 billion, I think?
Yeah.
In convertible notes. How big do you think this is?
From a meme perspective, it's about the greatest thing to happen this cycle.
Yeah.
Because now we have Roaring Kitty leaning forward and checking the stocks, and now he's hopefully going to be on Reddit, and I'm hoping he makes his way to Twitter where more Bitcoiners are to start commenting on GME and Bitcoin. And I just don't think it's going to be what we would want it to be.
Okay, tell me why.
Again, this expectation, there seems to be a common theme here of my expectations being too much with this. But GameStop is fundamentally a company that is broke.
Well, they've got a lot of cash.
They've got a lot of cash. Sorry. It's got not a lot of future. It is.
It's like a broken business model.
Correct. It's the equivalent of Blockbuster with billions of dollars of cash in the bank.
Yeah.
So you know it's going to die. You just don't know when it is. And this is where I look at GameStop as being indicative of people in a vulnerable financial situation personally, companies, and there are, last time I checked, there's close to 20% of the S&P 500 are zombie companies operating in a similar type
That
scenario.
blows my mind.
Like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
Like 100 of the 500 stocks on the S&P 500 that are meant to be our greatest stock market on earth are effectively existing just to pay interest.
Is that just passive flows allowing them to exist?
Probably, yeah. And, a lot of financial engineering, and this is where, if we look at what GameStop is, I think they'll have initial success and then it'll fade away.
Disagree vehemently on that point. I have to jump in because I feel like, I'm about to explode over here. It's like, how dare you say that about GME? Of course, like, again, when you think about zombie company, yes, I agree with that. On other company that are in the S&P 500 right now that are just there, yes, to pay, dividends and all that stuff. But again, they don't have the asset, they don't have the, income to support that. Okay, so, what, Hasbro or whatever, I forgot. Morantz did a whole show on that. The point is that they perhaps don't sell enough stuff and don't make it to the point where GME is at. I'm not saying that GME is going to be like, up and running, straight up to the moon over here, but they are in a unique place to grow into something else, right? It may not be just the brick and mortar, type of business anymore, right? It could grow into a, like a first destination for gamers. I mean, we haven't even come close to that. And to have this ability to raise money as well, I mean, this is a good point. But later on, he did explain that. But I don't understand where the disconnect is. As if like, GME would never recover. And the only reason why they would be recovering is because of Bitcoin. Keep in mind, GME doesn't need Bitcoin to survive and thrive. No, we might be, growing slower without Bitcoin. But again, that's my only schmeal there.
Because I don't think it has the commitment that Michael Saylor has and the other Bitcoin companies to the underlying asset. And this is where I think they're looking at this as a need, not a want. And they've realized that they've probably realized that they've exhausted every option that they can in the marketplace to develop a viable business model moving forward. I think it's fair to say, like, in public knowledge, that they've had a chat to Michael Saylor, and
oh yeah, there was a picture of the CEO with Michael Saylor, Ryan Cohen.
I think and I'm hoping you can grab him for a pod, and
I would love to do that.
Yeah, we can hear directly from the horse's mouth. But I think it's something that he's had to do, not wanted to do. And he's realized, this is kind of a moonshot. But what's going to be, I think, a bigger impact on this is that this is probably the first company that's got such a poor forward-looking guidance to their business over a 10-year period. If they can make this work, then the 20% of the zombie companies existing just to pay interest in the S&P are going to look at this and think, well, this is a shot. A lot of people, I think, are looking at Michael Saylor and thinking, well, that was a fluke. That's a one-off. That can never happen again. And it's just like that party meme, the guy dancing by himself. Well, now GameStop's turned up. He's dancing with Saylor and the rest of it. You're going to have 100 companies or more join that party, but it's just going to be a matter of when, not a matter of if.
I actually might fade that narrative that it's not going to be, because there's two things that I think are really interesting here. One, they've sat on a hell of a lot of cash. I think it's like 10 times the amount of cash that MicroStrategy had when they started their Bitcoin thing.
The best host ever. Good pushback there, sir. I love that. I love that point.
I don't know what his intent, like how deep into Bitcoin he is. I don't know if he's like a Michael Saylor. I mean, surely he's not, but if he's even close. But then on the flip side of that, it's the most crazy followed stock in the world. I was having a look today. Wall Street Bets is like 18 million people or something on Reddit. And the Super Stonk Reddit is like 1 million people. And so we might have like a whole host. And so the whole GameStop narrative originally was like, Main Street versus Wall Street, right? They thought that Wall Street were treating their stock unfavorably, so they were going to short squeeze it and fuck you, Wall Street. If a million people or 80 million people, however many, now see Bitcoin as a thing that actually allows them to do that, how many are going to get orange pilled? And like, if this works,
or how many Bitcoiners gonna be GMEers? Because again, I feel like this group of people don't really know each other. When I said these, I feel like it's rare to have people who understand both ends here. And I'm telling you, it's like, that's why I'm saying, it's like seeing two of my favorite superhero to come for the fighting for the same cause. And that's truly how I feel, because I know the Bitcoin side of thing, and I understand what GME is trying to achieve. And I'm talking about the company here. I'm not talking about the stock in and of itself, but the stock is just an added, flavor to that. It's like an icing on the cake for me. And the longer that you know about this company, right? The longer that people are going to be becoming enamored by it. Now, of course, like, again, right now, it's just new to them. Like, Bitcoiners going to be like, oh, I wonder where these people, just like this gentleman was, the other gentleman here, who didn't really seem to grasp how loyal the investor of GME is, how loyal we are as a shareholder. Although he was loyal to Bitcoin, he thinks that Bitcoin is the only thing, right? I'm not saying, again, the two could come together and do this. And GME is set up for that. And it's beautiful, in my opinion, right? And I'm sure this gentleman doesn't even know what the short interest and all that stuff. And that's why he kind of like was negative. It's like, oh, well, we're gonna succeed in long term, in short term, but long term we're gonna fail, because Bitcoin is not a want; it is a need. That's not a good assessment.
even the first time, like this first debt issuance, why would he not just run it back?
I think all of that will be true, but I don't think we're disagreeing on that, and it might just be a difference of time frame.
Yeah, okay. But so the kind of two things that are interesting here is, like, first of all, they've issued $1.3 billion of convertible notes, or they're going to issue $1.3 billion. Do you think there'll be the appetite in the market to take that, like MicroStrategy offering a similar size debt offering?
From what I saw, it was issued at, say, 0%.
Yeah.
So that tells me there's...
Do they know there's demand before they put that out there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like they've had all their guys talk around and basically do whatever they need to, speak to whoever they need to, and typically what happens is the market comes to them, not they go to market.
Okay.
And this is why, lo and behold, when...
That's important, because again, they already have somebody lined up already before they did that offering. I mean, that's amazing. It shows that there are demand for institutional out there who wants to get their hand on GME share, for sure. But they just don't want to get into the market straight up because they don't want to be exposed, whether it's short interest or whatever, right? Or they just don't want to seemingly, signaling to these people, it's like, hey, I'm tapping out. I'm not going to short this company anymore. Okay, and then I'm out quietly. And they could be anonymous as well. They don't have to go out and file 13K or whatever. What is it, 13D, right? And so, to signaling to the other guys, like, hey, this guy is tapping out, so I might be the second one. I don't want to be the last one to be out. And so, again, it provide not only that, it provide us the ability to grow even more, right? Bigger and bigger. And eventually that snowball's going to happen. Again, just be on the lookout for that. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to happen next month either. So I won't be mad if it does, but I'm telling you, this is the best position ever we're in, despite the market crash right now, Anthony saying, I wonder if Trump is trying to crash the market because it looks like he wants to. Yes, for sure. I mean, is it intentional? In his mind, he's just trying to fix the economy, the best way he know how, and the only way he know how to bring in revenue to try to cover the debt that we have right now is through tariffs. And yes, it's going to cause a lot of tantrum with the Wall Street type, because now their stocks is not going to perform very well because of the profit margin and such. But that will fix all, the market's going to fix itself. I mean, I don't imagine that it's going to crash so hard or anything like that. I just feel, yes, it might come down maybe to the level, pre-pandemic level before the drop, and then we will continue to come back up again. Remember, there's a battle between Trump and the Fed here. He wants the Fed to lower the rate. Since the Fed didn't lower the rate, now the Fed, forced the Fed's hand to lower the rate. If not, okay. If you want to keep this rate high, and where, you want to slow down the economy even more, then okay, yes, deflationary is happening. So deflationary is bad for people who own asset already. Yes, your stock's going to go down, whatever, but bonds going to go up. And who is the marketable bonds type of company? It's us. It's GME. So no matter what is happening, whether we're going upside or downside, we are protected if you're in GME, obviously. So yeah, just prepare for that, but know that eventually it's not going to just come straight down. It's going to be up and down until, the growth is not there anymore. Now I think the economy is based on more what the Fed is doing rather than what Trump is trying to cause. I'm sure for sure, I think he's trying to cause some chaos here, just to shake up the tree a little bit. And who's gonna stay on the tree? That's up to you. If you tap out, okay, yeah, you don't get to participate in the growth in the next 4 years. But my view on tariffs is kind of mixed. It depends on what items, right? I think it could be more sensible than this, but certain items, it didn't make sense to me to put tariffs on. But it's going to bring revenue to the government for sure. And also too, where that revenue is going to be used. Is it going to be used to reduce taxation, which he's talked about how he wants to use that to reduce tax for people who earn less than $125,000 a year. So that's going to help lift so many people out. Imagine if you don't have to pay tax, 30%, 50%, or even 40%, right? Then you could use that 30% to support your life, and that's going to help a lot of the economy and all that stuff. So yes, stuff would be more expensive, but then you're going to use the tax breaks money. How possible that is, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be possible where he's going to get it done, where Congress is going to be agreeing to not collect tax at all from the bottom. Because again, every government seemingly for the last 30-40 years has been enjoying the fruit of collecting tax for quite some time. Therefore, that's why they don't feel the need to change anything. It's their gravy train, right? For sure. And on top of that, they get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So yeah, what gives? While the rest of us are poor and desperate. But anyway, so I'm just ranting. Why am I ranting so much? Let me see. Hey, what's up, Jesus? Benito, that's probably true. What about true? What's true? Why can't AI solve that tariffs issue? Are you from China? No. AI, why can't AI solve that issue? I don't know. Let's ask AI to see what the answer is.
You issue a bond. Oh, we had 100% uptake on it. It's like, shit. You you asked us before we got commitments from you.
Yeah,
So
right.
I look at that and think that's how it typically works. You go to market, you do your research, you say, hey, we've got the ability to issue 1.3 billion. That's where the market's at. Let's put it up. The price is, we're going to get a rate of 0% and here's the conversion price and do it. So where we are at the moment, that's the expectation from what I can see. And that's typically how that works. Now, GameStop being a meme stock and everything else, maybe it works differently for that. But the social implications of this, and this is where I think Bitcoin is actually very on brand for GameStop. That is all about the screw the banks and we're going to do this. And then to me, that's a perfect marriage with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has always been about, hey, self-empowerment, look after yourself, and on the back of, Chancellor on the brink, we now have Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
That marries or ties in perfectly to the existing, fan base.
And the other thing on that is when Metaplanet started doing this, they were also like a company with a broken business model. Like they are now just a Bitcoin vehicle, essentially.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
We don't have a broken business model. Okay. Just telling you that. We're profitable. We just need to, be sensible about what we're selling. How many stores are there, right? Again, more expenses, right? So we need to cut more expenses for sure. And then we should be even, okay? The last one, last trailing 12, negative $17 million on the operational side. That's it. Negative $17 million. That's nothing. For a whole year? Really? For a whole year and people complaining about it? Nah. That's not a broken business model. It just, the scalability might not be there at the moment in time because we're figuring something else out, okay? Yes, Pokemon, that's a good place to be. You just saw that people are high demand and people want more of that Pokemon stuff. And so, yeah, we need to scale a little bit more. And, I don't know how logistically it's impossible to do that or how possible it is. But I trust Ryan Cohen to scale it up. But for now, though, we have to be careful as a company to buy into inventory that we cannot sell later on, right? So that's also important too, because in the current time, we don't have the economy that supports this discretionary spending right now. So for GameStop to be at where they are right now, it's amazing already. When people are falling off the cliff right now. So we're not. We're okay. We're stable. We have a lot of safety nets going on here. That, if you free fall, you be sure that, somebody's going to catch you, at the bottom. So again, that cash is very important to build. And, for times like this in which, market is in chaos, people are, screaming out out of nowhere. And again, just straight up chaos here. Within that chaos, though, there's the order coming, which is, perhaps we're going to save some money to buy other stocks with it. So, or other companies at a very favorable price to us, right? That's remained to be seen. How many more bankruptcies are going to ensue in that retail or whatever? Come to think of it, the only retails out there in the gaming industry, we don't have any competition even. I don't think so. You know, people are like, well, how do you compete with Amazon? Well, Amazon is not a video game store. Okay. So we have the niche for it. We have the brand for it. We have the backing of, you know, people just gamers in general. You know, now we have Pokemon people, and now we have Bitcoiners, right? I mean, there's so many things that people are not looking into. And these are like hidden values that you can't even price it. How can you price that? I'm telling you. Like, and people are just like, oh, based on the balance sheets. Okay, even balance sheets, you can't even contest that they are struggling in any way, shape, or form.
That couldn't work for GameStop. Even if they close all the stores, like surely this could still work.
That'd be the first thing I'd do. Raise more money, close all the stores, issue as much debt as possible, and then, you know, raise stock. Metaplanet's an amazing one, and gosh, Dylan is just a talent.
Dylan's unreal.
Can you imagine having that talent at that age? Like,
I mean, I can't imagine having that talent at any age.
Yes, exactly.
You know, he's all like praising the CEO of Metaplanet, how young and all that stuff, but at the same breath, like, oh, GameStop is not one of them. It's like, Ryan Cohen is young too. Ryan Cohen has been, you know, doing the right thing when no one's watching. Not only that, I'm sure he's not even aware that Ryan Cohen doesn't even take any salary, and do it the right way, ethically too. You see what I mean? And that is priceless as well. You can't price that either. That's like, again, well beyond. Not to say that in the future he won't take salary, but I don't see why he would be taking salary from now. I mean, he's already made it, you know. Also, too, he doesn't have to work the rest of his life, but he does this because, again, the right thing to do, or just passing his time, or he just want to challenge himself. I mean, you know, he's a workaholic for sure, right? That's what he said before. And so he said that if he'd ever become a CEO of any company again, he would kill himself by working so hard. See what I mean? So CEO like that, you don't want to not pay attention to them. Like, this is the epitome of someone you want to be running your company.
So a big fan of Dylan, and he just does such a phenomenal job. There are some peculiarities to Metaplanet and being in Japan, and you know, one thing I find really interesting with Metaplanet v, say, MicroStrategy trading at a 2x NAV premium, and Metaplanet recently in the last, say, 2 months was trading at close to a 10x premium. That's a completely different market. You know, there are some exogenous problems in that market of owning Bitcoin that make it almost cost prohibitive because of the tax treatment around it.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize.
Yeah, government incentives. You know, they've basically said it's really expensive to hold Bitcoin. We're going to tax basically out the wazoo if you want to hold it. But you can have stocks and have a preferential tax treatment if you put your money in there. And so I think part of the success that Dylan has had is recognizing different markets, different treatment of underlying asset versus stock. And then that's what, to me, has caused the premium, you know, that's trading at a 3x premium to what MicroStrategy is. Now, GameStop, back to that, will that be able to trade at a premium? Maybe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You said Metaplanet, what, 10 times NAV? NAV is net asset value. Whew. You have no idea what this stock's going to trade at premium. You said 10 times? Try 100 times.
Maybe, but MicroStrategy is a dedicated Bitcoin company without, you know, the overhang of a blockbuster style business model dragging it down. And I look at that success long term, unless they're prepared to make hard decisions and just cut the stores and go to a 100% online business model, and then focus in on a Bitcoin treasury company. I don't see how that is going to keep up with, say, a MicroStrategy in the long term, because obviously there's economies of scale. There's obviously diminishing returns relative to the sizes, but over, say, a 10-year period, I think you'll have outperformance for GameStop in the short term and an underperformance on a 5 to 10-year period.
an underperformance to MicroStrategy. So do you
Disagree. Remain to be seen. I feel like we could beat MicroStrategy in terms of performance in 5 years time span. Because MicroStrategy is already kind of, to the other side. But yes, they have more room to issue more shares, prefer shared and all that stuff. First mover advantage for sure. But GME is gonna trail behind it if we're serious about the Bitcoin strategy thing, right? And again, we could scale much faster too, because we're not losing money on operational end of things. So, and we don't have any debt either. We don't have to pay anyone any interest right now. So while MicroStrategy has to pay people, yes, right now, compared to their asset and all liability, they have, room to run. I'm not denying that. But as far as, we having to pay somebody interest for this to work, we don't have to. So that's immensely, ahead of every company out there already, just not having to pay any interest to move forward. It's the opposite. We received interest payment from, marketable security, from whatever. And so, yeah, it's only a matter of time. We could do it in 10 years if we want to catch up to MicroStrategy. Keep issuing bonds and doing that same thing. So, yeah, remain to be seen. We'll see. It's a competition for sure, right? And meantime, we still have the business, either to run or to accumulate more shares, more value for shareholder too. So that's another side of it too. Like future earnings and, a whole bunch of stuff. Please explain how high and why you think we'll be reaching that price. Okay, for now I'm just speculating, you guys. 100 times, you mean? Like 100 time net asset? I'm only thinking about if they add Bitcoin to the extent in which MicroStrategy did it before. Remember, MicroStrategy only did it at what, $200 something million at the on the run. Oh my gosh. The first issue to buy Bitcoin was $200 million something, right? If GME want to do that and do that at a much quicker, faster rate of return, and still continue to churn in that convertible bond, that strategy could give that, the value added from the convertible bond later on, right? So let's say they're going in heavy, $6 billion. That's going to give them close to 100,000 Bitcoin. Okay. And that 100,000 Bitcoin, as Bitcoin goes up in price, we could issue more convertible note. And, because now the share price itself is going to go higher. Is that for sure? I think so. Because if the asset that they hold, okay, first it's at 6 billion. If Bitcoin goes up, 5x from there, right? Which is, seemingly this is the possibility now. What is 5 times 6? Oops. 5 times 6 is 30. My mind is doing the math already. So that's $30 billion in a year, right? And so $30 billion, how much do you think after a year, right? After, they see the Bitcoin goes up in price. After a year, you could issue more convertible notes, right? At that asset value, $30 billion. Okay, who's willing to give me $10 billion out of that $30 billion? See? So the snowball's going to happen if he's going heavy. And it's much faster than MicroStrategy. Why? I feel like because we're at the bottom right now. And then that $10 billion, buy Bitcoin with it too. So now you have, and just continue to do that every year. Yes, Bitcoin eventually going to come down in price, for sure, yes. In which case, the asset value is going to be diminishing. But by that time, we already used that asset value of $30 billion to raise $10 billion in convertible note. Hopefully, we don't have to pay any interest on that for another 5 years. And then it's going to push a year and year and year. So even if the asset comes down, we don't have to sell Bitcoin to cover anything because there's no interest there at all. Right? And so whoever bought that convertible notes, they understand that, okay, I can't convert it anyway, but the share's going down in price. Right? And so they have to wait. Simple, right? They just have to wait until the share price goes up in value, then they would be able to convert. Otherwise, they get their cash back. No harm, no foul. They'll get their $10 billion back. The second raising. Well, of course, that's just my thought here. Or maybe 5 billion, like instead of 10, right? Again, depends on the demand. If the demand in there, there is a demand. Remember, the market goes to them, right? They don't go to the market. They will sell it. Yes, for sure. And so the share price is going to keep coming up and up and up. The floor is going to keep going up and up. So it's a risk for sure. Yes. Infinite risk. Right. Infinite risk, exactly. So the risk is to the people who are betting against this company for quite some time now, right? If you think that there's a short interest that it hasn't been closed, you would understand the value proposition here. It's the financial engineered that needs to be executed to perfection for this to happen. And we're doing it slowly. We don't have to squeeze them all at once. No, you need to bait more. You need to bait more people to hate on this company so much that they're willing to lose their life saving to bet the company to go down, right? And the minute they do that, obviously, market makers going to take advantage of that. And retail's going to lose out on too, right? If they're so egregious in thinking, like, what is that guy? Ricky Gervais or whatever his name is, who, like, every time, GameStop goes down, it's like, whatever the negativity is. Traders going to come to this company for sure. So I'm only thinking about, like, what ifs, right? Of course, with what ifs, it totally depends on how aggressive, Ryan Cohen is in terms of doing the Bitcoin thing, right? So if he comes at the gate, like I said, $6 billion, just leave $200 million to operate and continue to, operate in the store, which we have the ability to, because again, we don't burn any cash, right? The net asset or net income in trailing 12 is only $17 million. So we have long runway even with the $200 million in cash. And we could still accrue tiny bits of interest from that still. And then you have $6 billion worth of Bitcoin. So again, the value is immense if that were to happen, obviously. And everybody is stampeding to Bitcoin, you guys. Like, I just saw the Fidelity went in. I'll show you in a minute here. There's still a couple more minutes to go. MicroStrategy cannot be on. There you go. That's another value proposition too. where GME can. Yes, that's, oh my gosh, I forgot to even mention that. Yes, because we are profitable. We only need to be profitable and retaining earnings. We're down to $80 million in the negative. So another year, we would be in maybe 2 more quarters, even. So it's closer than you think that we're going to be able to, to get into the S&P 500. In which case, it's a forced buy-in at that point. And then, that's going to snowball into more bond issuance to buy Bitcoin. Yes, we can beat MicroStrategy for sure. How long? That's remained to be seen, right? That, how aggressive are we going to be? Like I said, when Ryan Cohen, the CEO of my heart, do something, I feel like he's not going to do it just to be number 2, okay? Anyway, so yeah, that's a good point though. All right. Infinite risk. Okay, let me finish up this guy.
Like, obviously, there's many winner-take-all markets here. Like, Bitcoin is clearly winner-take-all in, like, crypto. Tether, winner-take-all in stablecoins. Do you think this is like MicroStrategy will be winner-take-all in these Bitcoin corporate strategy?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
I do. Short term, it won't be. But once the market matures, it's just going to be exactly...
Is that because there's, like, it might be a lot of appetite, but limited at some point appetite for debt? And if there's one company issuing debt, that's like the premium company to go to?
Correct. And here's the thing. This is a really interesting thing from, say, a stock perspective over the last 20 years. What are the 2 best performing stocks? I might just wind that back. One of the best performing stocks over the last 20 years has been Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Why were they the best performing stock? Well, one of the best performing stocks is they were able to access capital at the lowest cost relative to peers. So they were able to purchase buildings, build out a logistics business, robotics, you name it. They were able to do this all with the lowest cost of capital. And so what does that do when you're trying to compete with someone? That basically gives you a huge head start. And I look at what's the next company that's had the lowest cost of capital in the last 5 years? Who's been able to issue billions upon billions of dollars of stock, bonds at a 0% rate? That's even better than what Amazon was able to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at this and I think, and this is where MicroStrategy gets a lot of shade from traditional finance, but just look at that metric on a cost of capital basis. The capital they can raise is at 0%. No one.
But that's important, right? He made the analogy on Amazon versus, MicroStrategy was able to, capitalize on the low interest rate environment. But then get the disconnect on Ryan Cohen, who's trying to beat who? Who are we trying to beat? Amazon, right? So we're going to be the number 1 retailer. Perhaps we're going to beat Amazon because of this zero interest, bond issuance here. So we could do both. We could beat MicroStrategy and Amazon at the same time. I mean, it's a ambitious goal, that's for sure. Can we do it? I think so. Yeah. In 30 years, I'm sure that's going to happen.
No one else would really, unless they're a Bitcoin company, is doing that. And the last company that had a huge advantage at the cost of capital business was Amazon. And how did that go over the last 20 years?
Is there another dynamic here, though, so I don't know if you saw, this must have been like 3 or 4 months ago, American Hodl tweeted about a BitLife crisis. Did you see that?
No.
So this idea was that every Bitcoiner has their BitLife crisis where at some point, because of Bitcoin's appreciation, the money you can put into it makes very little difference to your stack.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I understand this concept totally.
So is the idea of a BitLife crisis for these publicly traded companies where, like, let's say Sailors comes out in 5 years' time and offers $1.5 billion just to keep it similar. But the amount of Bitcoin he can actually buy with that relative to his stack is massively reduced. Whereas someone like a GameStop or the next GameStop can come in and go from 0 to a hell of a lot of Bitcoin. And is there outsized gains to do that?
In the short term, yes. In the long term, no, because they all suffer the same fate. And it's a problem that's probably akin to the success of fund managers. At the start, when they're small, nimble, they can outperform the market because they are no longer the market. However, once they grow into a size of significance, say Warren Buffett, all of the major hedge funds, Ray Dalio, you name it, they all grow into a size that they can't, well, it's very difficult for them. I won't say they can't, but it's very difficult for them to outcompete the market because they are the market. And this is where there's a number of competitions that are happening right now. The first competition that is underway at the moment is for the number of Bitcoin. And Saylor's clearly got a massive advantage of that.
Yeah.
And he's gone up that curve, and now his rate of accumulation is declining. You've got GameStop just entering the market. They're at the bottom of the S curve, adopting much faster. So there is going to be outperformance in the short term. But what happens, and that's the first game. This is the gold rush he talks about. Everyone's trying to pick up the gold off the ground. Hasn't even gotten hard yet. The next iteration of that game is, how do you monetize what you've got?
Yeah.
And this is where there's going to be a whole host of financial engineering products, financialization of Bitcoin, and whoever's sitting on the biggest stack I look at, it's going to be like playing poker. No limit poker. It's like, well, you just need to look around the room and figure out who's got the biggest stack, because they're going to be pushing the market around. And that's the meta game. That's the end game. And so although there's going to be underperformance relative to all the new entrants into the market, longer term, whoever's sitting on the most stack is going to have the greatest influence on, the greatest influence and the biggest success.
So do you think there'll be now a lot of companies that kind of saw what Saylor did? It's obviously worked incredibly well. They'll be very aware of that, I think. I bet every CFO in the US knows what's happened there. Do you think there's this idea that they might have looked at that and been like, okay, was this a one-off? Is this like, Saylor's obviously like absolutely huge in Bitcoin. And now do you think they'll be looking at GameStop being like, okay, if this can happen twice, maybe it can happen 3 times and 4 times and 5 times. And so do you think this will usher in like a big wave of adoption now? Because we thought that with Saylor and it never really happened until now.
I agree. I think this is where, and it's funny, I was having a chat yesterday to a money manager and I said, what do you like? And sort of a cagey response. I'm like, talking shop. Okay, what are you investing in? What do you like? And I said, do you like Bitcoin? He goes, oh, no, don't touch it. There's no cash flows. And I was like, interesting. I said, that wanting to be too inflammatory. I said, you understand that's been the best performing asset in the last 15 years, but have you studied it? He goes, no, there's no cash flows. And
why did they get so hung up on cash flows?
I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of economics. I think they don't understand that there is a store of value component because it's just this fiat mind rot that we're all suffering from. There's years and years of financial education, indoctrination that you need to unwind in order to see the bigger picture. And there is a belief that, this is where Bitcoin really sort of changes your outlook on things. Realize that, problems are solved on the personal level, not the government level. And so I think there is a reluctance to look at this, but my conjecture is, and this is where all of the Bitcoiners who are looking at this space, I don't fear what's coming in the financial world. In fact, I look at and think anyone who's a Bitcoiner here and, Bitcoin maxi, whatever, but anyone who understands Bitcoin has a huge advantage to the rest of the world who doesn't understand it. Prime example is the conversation yesterday. And what I'm looking at is Bitcoin is the primitive. And if you understand the primitive, then you understand the derivative of Bitcoin being MicroStrategy is the first order derivative of Bitcoin. And if you understand MicroStrategy and how they monetize and why they've had huge success, you have a fundamentally deep understanding of Bitcoin and how that relates to it. And then you can understand, and by inference, understand how the bond issuance has been so successful. And it's probably the only bond issuance in the last 5 years that's had a positive real return. And what's interesting is TradFi doesn't want to do the work on the primitive in Bitcoin. So they suffer by missing out on the best performing 2 stocks in the world in MetaPlanet and MicroStrategy. They miss out on the corporate bond issuance, best performing bonds. And then the third iteration, the derivative is some of the income ETFs that have been developed on the back of monetizing the volatility in MicroStrategy. And if you look at these income ETFs, they're generating somewhere between 50 to 150%, depending on how you look at it. Now, I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm just saying that paints a very different picture to your traditional finance or investment advisor, financial advisor, who, when you say, hey, can you generate an income for me? They're going to say, great, here's 7% per annum. And just a story on this, one of the products I sent to a friend who's at one of the big private wealth firms, I said, do you have any research on this? Can you give me some feedback? Any suggestions? And the feedback I got was, sorry, we don't cover this, but here are our income option suggestions. And I looked at it and I was like, the annual income of the fund that they've suggested is the equivalent to the monthly return on what we're looking at. Now, obviously a very different risk profile, but traditional finance thinks that that is going to be a risk profile that's priced up there because of the return. However, if you understand the primitive, understand the derivative, you understand the derivative and how they derive the income, all of a sudden the risk goes from being there to much lower and far more manageable. And this is where traditional finance is literally missing out on the best performing asset, the best performing stocks, the best performing corporate bonds, and now the best performing income funds. And so to your point about GME coming in and it not being a fluke and actually raising awareness that, oh, hang on a second, this isn't a one-off, this isn't lightning in a bottle, this is a replicable process that we can recreate to produce outcomes for our shareholders. So that's my hope for Gamestop.
This episode is brought to you by Cat.
Anyway, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I like the end of it more so than, the beginning part, where, yes, I mean, if we want to generate some income based on the convertible notes and all that stuff for institution, that's also going to add value to shareholder, in the long run. Institution has to be here, you guys. Like, I know, don't be kind of like, if you don't understand where the institution come from, I feel like not many institutions are all shorting GameStop. So that's a misconception, right? There are institutions that are long on this, but only a handful actually short this company. And so, for the price to move, don't be shying away. Don't shy away from, having, institution. Don't be like, this institution is going to get all my shares. Like, you already got all the shares, right, that you need for your, personal use. But in order for the price to move, institution has to help us out too. And so, and I think Ryan also realized that as well. And that's why, again, he spent some time fixing the balance sheet so that it's enticing to these financial firms now. So eventually they're going to be forced to look at the company balance sheets the way that these people are used to analyzing the data and all that stuff, based on whatever metric that they're using. And so we just need to fix a couple more of quarters to go in order to, the PE ratios, that's going to improve over the quarters to come. And so I don't think it's going to take much longer. The very, as long as we could turn the retained earnings. Here, let me kind of show you what I mean by. Give me 1 second. I know. Excuse me. Okay. Let's go to the balance sheets here. I know you've seen this a million times, but anyway, so with this one right here, we want the retained earnings to be in the positive, because that's going to signal to them, it's like, hey, we're improving. How much more do you want the retained earning to be? In the positive, I think it's balance sheets right here. So we used to be 213. Now we're down to 81. Okay. So if this year we're able to make 130, wait, hold on, 130 or? Let me look at this real quick. Net income, yes, this year, trailing 12, 130. That means we need to be more profitable next quarter, right? So this is quarter one. Okay, is that quarter one? Yeah, quarter one. Last quarter, we were able to get 20. So hopefully it's going to increase from there, right? Hopefully. Who knows what's going to happen? So if we could turn positive this quarter, this coming quarters, which I don't imagine that we won't, unless we went all in, GME, Bitcoin, $6 billion. Now we have less, interest payment over here. But, I think that's a good trade-off for now, just to, again, take the opportunity to capitalize on the cheap Bitcoin prices. Because the next 4 years, it's going to be higher from here. I don't know how high, but again, even at the bottom or whatever, you might not be able to get Bitcoin at $100,000. So the opportunity to accumulate as much as you can is right now. So I think Ryan kind of understand that too, hopefully. And then as far as like the operational costs and all that stuff to get into the S&P 500, that's going to fix itself too. And it's going to give some time for this institution to, come to the realization that, hey, GME is setting up for an improvement in which, we can now start to kind of promote it to our, whatever. They want to make money too. And so it's inevitable that it's going to be in every single portfolio. And then guess what? The news is going to come around after that. They're going to start bringing people in. It's like, oh, look, this person is bullish on GME. And then Michael Pachter is going to be fired. Like, he's not going to be having money to, do any press video anymore because, hey, you're wrong about this company, right? I have no more money to hire you to come and say bad things about GameStop anymore. You see what I mean? So stuff like that's going to solve itself out. So you don't have to worry about that one at all. And so, again, that's why I'm not worried about, even the market crash and people are just like running to the hill. And look at this, 6% down on an announcement that we prepared for a long time. I'm like, really? People are surprised by this news that Trump's going to do tariffs? Goodness. But again, this is the opportunity for market maker to scare more people out, right? So I hope you understand the trick and, just be assured that you're not going to ever fall from this type of balance sheet. And institution knows that too. Institutional, accumulation is coming. So let's see. I have one more thing before I let you guys go. Thank you so much for coming in. I truly appreciate that. But let me hold on. Let me see you guys. This is okay. I saw something earlier. Not that one. Yes. So this. Oh, I think okay. So this one is the one that you were talking about, right? Yeah, so this is the transaction that happened on chain. Somebody was tracking that. So that's exciting. What else do I... Goodness. See, when you're not prepared to come to the show, this is what happened. Oop, why am I saying that? Crazy. Okay. I should... you know what? I will come back later, I guess. Maybe do a quick video or something. Because I don't want to waste anyone's time right now. Not that one. Oh yeah, short interest. There you go. This one right here, you could see that the short interest is kind of like coming back up right now, and 30. Okay, 30%. So I don't know if this is. Let me see if it's showed up in Fintel, but I feel like it's too quick to show up on Fintel. Fintel. Okay, so real quick, just to show you guys, you see, only 6 institution, only short only. Okay, and so none of these people are short, you guys. So you already kind of have the institutional ownership that are long on this, and the majority of them are long already, and so all they have to do is just keep increasing their ownership. Okay, number of shares, year on year or even quarter by quarter, you're gonna see accumulation mode over here. And so you see this graph right here. I haven't shown quite. You see, like, look at this. A stair step up and to the right type of deal over here. And so that's gonna be years to come, and as time goes on, you're gonna see this percentage, 60%, 50%. When it reached the 50%, people are gonna start looking for it. Where now they're gonna recommend it to people. It's like, oh, GameStop is actually have more institutional ownership than I thought it would be. Remember, it used to be 20, right? Now it's 38. Whatever the accountant was, it could be because people were scared. Coming down here to here now. I mean, that's the night and day. And then I want to see the short interest. If I could, I would. Okay, so we want to see that's insider ownership. I want to see short. There we go, short interest. So let's take a look at that. See, this one hasn't changed yet. So take this with a grain of salt, but I'm sure people with Ortex and all that stuff could see it more than me. I don't have it. So there we go. All right, guys. So let's end it here. Like I said, thank you so much for joining. And I will see you when I see you. Yep, I love GameStop too. Thank you. Bye.